This is the Ontario SP10. It is about 15 inches in overall length. It's a full tank construction knife. The blade is a little over 9 inches long. It's got craton handles. It has a lined brass lanyard ring. The sheath is nylon on the front and then leather on the back. It's got the D-ring for your belt loop, and then you can tie a little leg strap type thing in on it. I've had this knife for about 2 years now, and as you can see, it's been used. Batoning firewood for camps, building shelters. I put a 550 cord lanyard on it so I could kind of hang on to it a little bit better. I believe I did mention it has a craton handle, and I've kind of beat that up a little bit too. But this is an excellent chopper. I've used it for so many things I just can't even remember. It's about a 1/4 inch thick as far as the metal, which is 1095 high carbon. It's a powder coat of some kind. It's like a black powder coat that they use, which I'm not a big fan of coats, like coating on a knife, unless it's like a pocket knife, just because I want to be able to start a fire with it. And granted, you can take like a little palm sander or something and sand the area about right here where you'd be using to strike a ferro rod if you wanted to, because it's got a good 90-degree on the back of it. Let's try to zoom in on that. But it's got a good sharp 90-degree angle on the back of it, so if you strip the coating away, whether you used a stripping type agent in a can or just did it with a palm sander, this would strike ferro rods real easy. You can get into yourself with this if you act ignorant as far as cutting yourself. You cut yourself with this and you're probably gonna go get something sewn up. I was fortunate, I have cut myself with it, but I was fortunate to not have to go seek any medical attention because I caught it before it got too bad. But this isn't a knife you want to screw up with swinging or anything like that. And with that said, I'll show you the little bit of work I can do with this thing. I'll show you how this thing chops and try to give you some examples of stuff you can do with this knife. It's about $60 from the retailers, which I think is a pretty decent price for a heavy-duty full-tang knife that I've put through the ringer pretty hard. Even on the other side, you can see this thing's got, you know, it's got marks on it from batoning through wood and whatever else. But yeah, let's see this thing in action. Set my knife down so I don't freaking slice myself. Hands getting a little tired, or arms getting tired. But you don't have to slice all the way through these if you're trying to make shelter poles or something like that. But it'll get the job done if it's all you have. If it's a one tool option and you don't have a hatchet or a saw, it's heavy enough to do it. It'll take longer. Maybe you can baton wedges out too. But it will get the job done. It may take a little time, but it is a one tool option if it's all you got. And I wouldn't recommend whacking something with a knife this big all the way down to something where you're going to eventually fly through it going full force. So, you know, at that point you just kind of break it off. For safety reasons, you know, you have to kind of consider what you're doing with a big knife. This is definitely one that I would recommend, and I don't think you'll be disappointed for $60. I'm going to show a little bit of batoning, you know, usually for campfire wood or whatever you can come up with, you know, to any big pieces of wood. Granted, this a little bit of punky wood here, but not bad. If it was super dry, you could use it as tinder, but we will see. I'll show you just some little bits of batoning here. You don't really have to hit that hard with a knife this big, especially with freaking almost rotten wood. It's got some little bit of heartwood, you know, as far as there's still some wood worth burning, you know, you can use for kindling or whatever. And that's the thing with batoning, you can make it, you can shave this stuff down into small little bits for kindling. If the knife's sharp enough, you could do feather sticks, although I would recommend a thinner knife for that. It's just a whole lot easier, a whole lot less risk of hurting yourself. And then if you just want to quarter stuff up, just like that. You can pretty much tell when the wood itself breaks, you know, when it's going to separate. And if you can kind of get that down, you'll avoid putting your blade and your edge into the dirt, which is helpful in maintaining a nice edge. Sometimes big knives like this, you got to kind of readjust them and be careful while you're doing it. Pull the blade out. And it's a good idea to use some kind of block below what you're doing, made of the same material that you're separating. But you can lay them flat and make kind of a fire with that and lay your kindling on top. But there you have it. It's a good knife, about 60 bucks, as I said earlier. You're not going to go wrong buying a big knife like this if you're using it for construction purposes and busting up big wood. You know, this isn't something you want to be caping a deer with. It's not made for that. And there's a lot of, batoning is one of those things that for some reason is controversial with people, and especially the purists. This knife is built for that. As far as, maybe they didn't have that in mind when they built this knife, maybe they did, but it will hold up to it. And if a knife of this size breaks while batoning, that's a manufacturer's defect or something like that. Or if you're being completely stupid with it, you can't break it. But in general, a knife like this isn't going to fail you unless they're serrated, which I'm not gonna. Sometimes they'll have serration right up around this part, like on the Ontario RTAC 2 and some of the other big knives. I personally don't buy big serrated knives because of that. And you will have failure in those areas if you beat them too hard. But as far as a straight edge knife, you're not going to have a problem with it as long as you don't act completely ridiculous with it, to the point that a warranty would probably be voided anyway if they knew what you were doing. But I recommend this knife, and I'll stand by it. I think that it's definitely worth the money paid for. And after about 2 years of usage, I can't say that I'm dissatisfied at all. I have never even sharpened this knife, and it is still hair popping sharp. I've never sharpened this knife at all. So check it out, see what you think about it, and thanks for watching.